The FDA can literally say anything that they want. They can give sort of a condescending glance to the idea of allergy, and in their opinion, they think that that is very low. The numbers that were actually presented to the '06 panel were in the range of 6%. The ADA's own representative to the panel told us that the allergy to mercury in the general population was 6%. Now, based on his own analysis of the literature that he presented to the panel. And so you think to yourself, no wait, 6% of 200 million Americans maybe who have amalgams, or whatever that number happens to be. We actually did a study of that, myself and another biostatistician. We did a study looking at the number of Americans that had amalgams. We think it's around 220 million people. So if it's 200 million people and you've got a 6% allergy to that, you have to define what you mean by 6% allergy, whether it's an immediate hypersensitivity or delayed. You can put an amalgam in a kid first time, probably pretty good. Second time you do it, problems. Maybe it's immediate. Maybe it's delayed. Maybe the patients don't drop dead over the hitching post or pass out in the parking lot. Maybe it takes 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years for these problems to appear, which is the general consensus of those of us in the community that study this and look at it, that it is both an immediate problem in some individuals and a very long-term problem in others. For the most part, on balance, it is probably a very long time bioaccumulative effect over many, many, many years, either from the current amalgams that you have or ones that are replaced and continue the process or are additive to it. So the problems may not show up until much, much later in life. But I do understand your question. I got a little bit away from that, which was how can they, knowing that there is this significant number of out there representing allergy, how could they continue to write a regulation that just ignores that and just say every label on every medical device says do not use if there's allergy. I don't care if it's a heart stent or if it's some kind of a pump installed in your heart, if it's a dental amalgam, if it's anything else, it always has that disclaimer. So do not use if the patient is allergic. So you stand before your patients and say, okay patients, how many of you are allergic to amalgam? How many hands do you think are going to go up? They have no idea. Patients have no idea whatsoever whether they're allergic to it or not. It may show up immediately, it may show up years later. And so therefore, how do you know what's going on with these patients, whether it's toxicity, allergy, or some other energetic or electrical component to the product? So how does FDA, shall we say, get away with this? And the fact of the matter is, they'll just say, well, we think allergy is less than 1%, based on the data that we've looked at. And so at the meeting, you know, I offered a calculation of what 1/2 of 1% would be in the American population. And by any standard, CDC would be in their trucks with the suits on. They would think it was an epidemic breaking out at 1/2 of 1% of the American population who have amalgams.